So in this video, we are going to discuss the second part of multiple linear regression modeling, in which I am going to explain how to estimate the parameters for multiple linear regression equation that we have seen in our last video. So in the last video, what we did is that uh, I have given you the equation or the formula to estimate the values of beta from the given data set, and the method that based upon which uh, we can calculate the values of beta 0 and beta 1 is the ordinary least square. I have not given the proof for the formula, but we can use it, the formula, to estimate the values of different coefficients. So this is the equation which is also called as hypothesis function to predict the values of y from the given features. In multiple linear regression, there are more than one input features. Here, this is the very general equation in which there are k input feature vectors are there. Beta 0 is the y-intercept and e is the error term. So this beta is a vector which consists of all these coefficients beta 0 to beta 1, beta 2 up to the beta k. This is the one column vector having k plus 1 rows, and these the values for beta 0 and beta 1 etc. up to k can be calculated using this formula, in which x is the feature vector in which input features are there and y is the output feature vector, and this is the formula to predict the values of y. In today's video, I am going to give you one example in which I am going to apply this formula in order to calculate the different values for betas. The example dataset that we are going to use in this video is our student performance data, in which we are going to predict the end semester examination marks from two different input uh, variable or the features that we are calling it as attendance. Here attendance is x1 and mid semester examination is x2, and end semester examination is our output feature, which I am denoting it with by y. In this sample data set on this slide, there are 5 different data observations are there. Here y is the end semester dependent variable, is the end semester examination mark. Attendance is and mid semester examinations are independent variable. The hypothesis function that we are for this particular equation is y beta 0 plus beta 1 times x1, where x1 represents the attendance and beta 1 represents the relationship strength of the relationship between the attendance and the end semester marks, and beta 2 and x2, where x2 represents the mid semester examination mark and beta 2 represents the strength of the relationship between the end semester examination marks and the mid semester examination mark. So in order to demonstrate the application of this formula, which is beta, here to for the convenience purposes, I am going to neglect the two last rows, because in order to simplify the calculation from the input data set, here this matrix X matrix is a matrix of feature vectors, where x1 is our attendance and x2 is our mid-semester examination marks, which I have separated it from our input, the file that we have read here. See, x1 70, 92 and 67. 70, 92 and 67 is one input vector. 10, 7, 3 is another input vector. And in addition to that, I have added one more input vector called x0, which is the constant, and it always takes the value 1. And this x0 represents this vector, that is the beta 0 times x0. I have separated the input vectors in X matrix, or X is a set of input vectors, and I have separated from the output vector Y. Y is again is output vector. See here, 42, 39 and 32. So this is the Y is the output vector. This formula requires input vectors and the output vectors, and from these input and the output vectors we are going to calculate the values for beta 0, beta 1 and beta 1, which are the unknown at this moment. Before proceeding further, I would like to mention here that because I neglected the two additional rows, that is x4 and that is the x4 and the x5, these rows having been neglected, it will affect the values of beta 0, beta 1 and beta 2, and it may not give the accurate result for the predicted value. Why? Because the samples that we have taken are very few, that is the only 3. My purpose is here only to explain the process of finding the beta 0, beta 1 and beta 2, and not on the improve the accuracy of beta 0, beta 1 and beta 2. The process I want to explain, and that's why I have eliminated 2 rows in order to simplify the calculation, but the simplification of the calculation does not make the process wrong. In order to improve the results of the process, we require large number of observations. This formula, that is beta 0 equal to this formula, I have divided into 5 different steps, and I am calling it as the stepwise estimation of the beta, in which I am first calculating this term, that is the transpose of the xt. Here xt represents the input vector, x represents the input vector, and xt represents the transpose of xt using the matrix transpose operation. In the second step, I am multiplying the output of the first step by again input vector by using the matrix multiplication. In the third step, I am calculating the inverse of the output matrix that has been generated, that is the result of the second step. In the fourth step, I am again performing a matrix multiplication with the transpose of x input vector to the result of the third step. And again in the fifth step, I am doing the matrix multiplication, in which I am multiplying the output vector y to the result of the fourth step. So in these steps we are going to perform the calculation. This x represents our input vectors, and this y represents output vector. This formula requires 2 inputs x and y, which represents the input vectors and the output vectors. And the output of this calculation is the values of beta 0, beta 1 and beta 2. Now this is our input vector, that is x, and see, in order to understand the application of this formula beta, you need to know different operations that you have studied in the linear algebra, that is nothing but the matrix operation. And this is also a good tutorial for the matrix operation, because it covers almost all the matrix or linear algebra operation that is required in order to understand the various concepts of the machine learning. So this is our input vector, and as you know that in the transpose operation we interchange the rows to the column and column to the rows. Here the first column, that is 1 1 1, becomes now the first row, second column becomes the second row, and similarly the third column becomes the third row. This operation is called as the transpose operation, and this is the resultant of the output of the first step, that is the xt. We are calling it as the xt. Now in the second step we need to perform the matrix multiplication, in which we are multiplying the result of the first step with the matrix x. So this is the result of the first step, output of the first step, and this is our input, that is x. xt and x we are going to multiply. Here I have shown the individual results, how the multiplication is performed. See, in order to perform the matrix multiplication, you can go by the row wise, and this one is multiplied by this one is multiplied by this one, and this one is multiplied by this one, and all these are added. So this is the result. I will again explain the second entries in the first row and the second column. So in order to do the entry for this, now again we are going to change the we are keeping the row constant and changing now second column. So 1 is multiplied by 70. See, 1 is multiplied by 70. Then second one is multiplied by 92. See, then third one is multiplied by 67. Like this, you can get this entry also. The first one is multiplied by 10. Second one is multiplied by 7. The first one, third one is multiplied by the 3. So this is the third entry in the first row. Again, I will explain the second row now. Change to the second row. Take the first entry and multiply it by the first column. 70 multiplied by 1, 92 multiplied by 1, and 67 multiplied by 1. Now take to the second column, 70 multiplied by 70, 92 multiplied by 92, and 67 multiplied by 67. In order to find the third entry, multiply 70 by 10, 92 by 7, and 67 by 3. In order to calculate the third row, take the third row and again perform operation in the previous step, like 10 multiplied by the first one, 7 multiplied by the second one, and 3 multiplied by the second, like this. Now in order to calculate the second entry in the third column, 10 multiplied by 70, 7 multiplied by 92, and 3 multiplied by 67. In order to calculate the third entry in the third column, you need to do 10 multiplied by 10, 7 multiplied by 7, and 3 multiplied by 3. So this is the result of all these addition operation here I have written. And this is nothing but the multiplication of xt by x1. So this is the output of second step. Now after performing this operation, let us try to identify the inverse operation. The inverse operation is very complex operation in matrix in the matrix algebra or the linear algebra. Here I am using the cofactor method or the adjoint based method in order to find the matrix inverse. And let me define how to. Here first I have calculated this is my matrix, which I am calling it as now A, which is nothing but this xt multiplied by x, and I want to find out the inverse of this. So in order to find the inverse of A matrix or this matrix, first I need to find out the minor of A. How the minor of A is calculated, let us check. I will explain like this. Suppose that if you want to find the minor of this element, so eliminate this row and this column, multiply by this, and subtract division from this. So here it becomes the 17,853 multiplied by 158 minus 154 by 154, this entry. If you want to find the entry minor of the second element in the first row, you eliminate the second column, Now here it becomes 229 multiplied by 158 and 150 1545 by minus 20. Perform this subtraction operation. If you want to find the minor element at the third position, eliminate the third column and the first row. Multiply 229 by 154 1545 and 17,853 multiplied by 20, like this. In order to find the minor of the second row first element, so you remove the second row and first column. 17,853, 229 multiplied by 158 and 20 multiplied by 154. So this is like this you need to calculate the minor at each element, and this is the result of the minor of each element. After finding the minor of each element, you need to find the cofactor of all the elements. The cofactor is nothing but minus 1 to the power of I plus j, where I is the row position and j is the column position. Suppose that I want to find the cofactor of this element. So this is the first row and the first column. So 1 plus 1 it becomes 2, minus 1 to the power of becomes positive 1. So it need not to be need the change the sign. If the power I plus j is the odd number, you need to change the sign. If the I plus j is the even number, you need not required to change the sign of the elements. So by applying this formula, you need to find the cofactor. So 5,082, because this is the first row second column, it becomes the 2 plus 1 3, that which is odd number. That's why I have changed the sign of this, it becomes negative. For this element, that is third element and the first row, 3 plus 1 becomes 4, which is even number. It need not require to change the sign of this element. That's why I have written it as it is. So in this way, you need to calculate the cofactor element at each position. So this is called as the cofactor matrix of the A. After finding the cofactor of the matrix A, you need to find out the adjoint of the matrix A. And adjoint of the matrix A is nothing but the transpose of the cofactor. So this is the cofactor and this is the transpose. See, now this column becomes this row 4 3 minus 52, like this. So second column becomes second row and third column becomes third row. So this is the transpose of the cofactor. So transpose of a cofactor of an element is nothing but the adjoint. Now after doing that, so this is the my original matrix A, that is xt x. So this is the result output of the second step. So this matrix I have rewritten it because we need to calculate the determinant of this matrix, the matrix for which we are finding its inverse. So determinant of the matrix is calculated like this. For the first element, multiply 3 multiplied by, eliminate the row and column, and multiply 17,853 and 158 and subtract it from this 155 1545 into 1545. The determinant value for the given matrix A, that is xtx, is 26,565. Now you can calculate the inverse of the matrix in this way. Inverse of a matrix is nothing but adjoint of that matrix A divided by its determinants. So adjoint of this matrix A is this. We have calculated in our previous slide. Now each element you need to divide by the determinant's value, and determinant value is nothing but 26,565. When you divide each and every element of this matrix by 26,565, this is the result. And this result is nothing but the inverse of this step, and this completes our the third step. Now, after finding out this inverse, we need to multiply it by the X transpose, like the multiplication operation that I have already explained. So this matrix is nothing but the inverse of XTX, and this matrix that, which we have obtained in our previous slide, and XT we have calculated in the first steps output, and the multiplication of this matrix and this matrix, this is the result. I have not shown the intermediate results. I have reproduced the only the final results here, and this completes our the fourth step. Now this is the fifth step, in which we are multiplying our output vector to the result of the fourth step. This is y is our output vector, see, and this is the output vector that I have reproduced it from our earlier slide, in which there are three elements are there. You can check the whether you can perform the multiplication operation or not. This matrix is 3 by 3 and this matrix is 3 by 1. The number of columns in the first row should be equal to the number of columns in the first matrix should be equal to the number of rows in the second matrix. So that is the condition, and this condition is satisfied by these two matrices. So you can perform the matrix multiplication of this x multiplied by y, and this is the result. Here also I have not shown the intermediate results. I have reproduced the final results, and the output of this stage is nothing but our beta values. Now beta 0 is 101.8, beta 1 is nothing but the minus 5.704, and beta 2 is equal to 0.656. So these are the parameters that we are interested to estimate, and this is the parameters that we have got. Now this is the equation of the regression line that we are interested. This is our beta 0 plus this is nothing but our beta 1 times x1, and this is nothing but beta 2 times x2. If you multiply x by beta, you will get the predicted values. See, this is our x matrix. This is our beta matrix that I have reproduced from here. When I multiplied these two matrices, I will get the predicted values of y. So this is the predicted values of the y using this formula. And these are the actual values of y. See, no value is nearer to the any value. Why we got the predicted values far away or inaccurate from the actual value? Because the data set that we have used contains only 3 observations. The real data sets contains the 73 rows, and performing the 72 rows matrix operation is very difficult to explain. But don't bother about that. There are machines which can perform matrix operations on hundreds of columns and thousands of rows, and this is the steps they follow to find the values of different parameters beta 0, beta 1 and beta 2. Thank you.